All right, good morning, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for joining our webinar today. I am Ashley Limbers, the marketing lead here at Encompass Solutions, and I'm happy to be the moderator for this session. For those of you who are new to Encompass Solutions, I'll give you a quick introduction. We are based in North Carolina, um, and we are an ERP consulting and implementation firm, and we are about to celebrate 25 years in business. And we have a global team of just over 40 staff members. We focus exclusively on serving the manufacturing and distribution industries, delivering solutions that help organizations like yours streamline their operations, overcome challenges, and drive growth. And as a premium partner of Epicor, we have nearly 2 decades of experience delivering tailored ERP systems. What truly sets Encompass apart is our partner first mindset. We don't just implement software, we work closely with our clients to ensure their ERP solutions are tailored, optimized, and aligned to their business goals. And in today's session, we're going to focus on Kinetic 2025.2 upgrade, presented by our financial and operations consultant, John Sherry. Before we dive in, just a few housekeeping notes. This webinar is being recorded, and a copy of that recording will be sent to you afterwards. And if you have any questions during the presentation, please type those into the Q&A box in your Zoom control panel. We'll answer as many as we can during the live Q&A at the end. And lastly, we'd appreciate if you'd take a minute to fill out the quick survey after today's session. It helps us keep improving these events for you. So now let's turn things over to our presenter. Please join me in welcoming John Sherry. John has over 10 years of experience working directly in oil and gas manufacturing and healthcare industries, working in various technical and leadership roles in small $1 million plus to large $1 billion scale supply chains. He possesses a strong background in manufacturing from both frontline and management perspectives, working his way up from material handler to operations manager and his time in the industry, as well as fulfilling duties in process improvement. John has business process improvement experience with Epicor 9, 10, and Kinetic, upgrading experience from all versions of Epicor to Kinetic and implementations of Kinetic. While John cut his teeth in the operations world, he has been active on the financial side, assisting customers with chart of accounts creation, AP and AR setup and training, bank reconciliation training, cash management, GL training, and more. And John also has extensive experience with Epicor's DMT and is always happy to help a client with their data needs. So we're excited to have him here with us today. So without further ado, John, I'm going to turn things over to you.
Appreciate that, Ashley. So a couple of things, just housekeeping on my end as well, guys. So first and foremost, the safe harbor statement for the kind of product roadmap. One thing to keep in mind is that, Epicor owns their own product roadmap, right? We are a channel partner, so we don't own the software, they do. So the roadmap is subject to change without notice as Epicor sees fit, depending upon what's going on with them. There are some forward-looking statements in here. So again, just keep in mind that things can change, but this is a pretty solidified roadmap. We can feel pretty good about this. 2025.2 is actually being pushed into production this weekend. So if you guys are planning on doing anything this weekend and you're in the cloud, just keep that in mind. We'll see that kind of towards the end of the presentation as well. There's quite a bit of content in this 2025.2 release, so I will be moving fairly quickly. We'll take those Q&As at the end of the session if you guys have any. But these are kind of the release themes that we're looking at for 2025.2. So obviously AI is kind of at the forefront of every industry, in 2025 and moving forward. I think we all know that. And Epicor is no exception there with their Prism AI tool that they're continuing to build. There's a focus on sustainability. We'll take a look at the carbon cost posting. We're going to take a look at some of the product ideas that the end users have had that are going into action in 2025.2, and then some of the extended solutions and the digital transformation that Kinetic is continuing to go through. So let's talk about first what's new in Core Kinetic So the first one is these delivery plans. And basically what these do is they're going to automatically update your sales order. So what are these delivery plans? So you'll find these as a new tab when you're in your order entry screen. It streamlines large delivery order management with in-order delivery plans. So basically that allows you to do some flexible additions of lines or releases, and it will auto update the linked sales order lines when any of these delivery plans change. So basically, what it does is it negates the need for our end users to have to manually update the delivery details for multiple lines within a sales order, if we're just changing what the delivery schedule is. Um, if you've seen that in your pilot environment or third environment, and haven't known what to do with it, when you update the delivery plan itself, it's going to go ahead and update your sales order lines as well. So that's nice. We've talked about carbon cost posting prior, where it's a new thing, where in the EU specifically, they're really focusing on like carbon emissions in manufacturing, right? And so being able to track those carbon emissions through your manufacturing is something that Epicor has been putting into place. And so basically now we're able to post these to statistical accounts. So the final phase is actually enhancing that carbon cost roll up, where the fields have been added for statistical accounts. It also now is able to enable our GL control codes, so that we can track those to specific accounts. And then also, again, supporting our statistical GL for our postings, and having our posting rules and processes to go along with that. So this was kind of think for people when they took the landing page for part entry out, and you just kind of went straight into the actual part record and had to manually look up your parts. This has been revived and is now going to be back in 2025.2. So when you guys go to your part entry module, then you or application rather, you will actually see the landing page there again. So we don't have to just manually search in the part ID field for the part anymore. So back to a little bit of that original kinetic design. An active tag for operations. So this one's new. You guys should be familiar with inactivating, parts, employees, a bunch of different records, right? Ones that you can't delete because there's already transactions against it. So then we inactivate it, right? So that it doesn't pop up in other places when we're pulling stuff up. This has been introduced to the operations as well. So now we can tag those operations as inactive. When it gets flagged inactive, as you would imagine, the operation is not going to be able to be used in the engineering workbench, job entry, or code engineering anymore. Um, but if the operation gets marked as inactive after it's already in use, it's not going to change those existing bombs. So we would need to go in and swap that out if we need to, or you can leave it on there and just not use that operation in new bill of materials, bill of operations. One of the big things that Epicor has been pushing is the Epicor Cloud Management Portal. We talked about this in the release of 2025.1. There have been some more releases to this. So keep in mind that as of right now, this still isn't available in production. Going to be coming a little bit later, as you see here on the slide. But in our pilot and third environments, we do have these options available now to be able to start, stop, recycle our application instances. We can start and stop our task agents as needed, the data model regeneration, and database refreshes. So basically, the idea here is that you're going to be able to have full control of your environment. So if you need to do backups of your data or your environment, so like your production environment versus your pilot, with those copy downs and stuff like that, you'll actually be able to go into this Epicor Cloud Management Portal, and you'll be able to copy down your databases as you want without having to go to Epicor and putting in a ticket to do it. It'll also allow you, if you have a skilled admin, then they'll be able to troubleshoot and start to stop those task agents, control when we run tasks, all those kind of good stuff. More power to the users. Some other core kinetic enhancements, rather. So now, if you guys are familiar with PO suggestions, if MRP was running and we needed to generate PO suggestions, We weren't able to do that at the same time, obviously. But then another thing was if you were in the buyer workbench or something along those lines, trying to accept purchase order suggestions or change suggestions to POs, we couldn't do that while MRP was running. This new update removes that lockout, and so we'll be able to actually execute on those PO suggestions even while MRP is running. So giving us a little bit of better operational flow there so that we're not getting interrupted midday if MRP needs to run. The copy line functionality has been added to sales order entry. So this is that same thing that you could do in quote entry where you could copy lines directly from a quote. So now we're able to do that with individual lines and sales orders as well, instead of having to copy the entire sales order. Nice little quality of life upgrade there. And then we have an updated average cost and last cost specifically for make direct items. So now in make direct scenarios, our average cost and last cost values are going to be updated, but only when no stock is on hand. And this is going to just make sure that we're able to see our accurate cost visibility, right, without affecting our inventory valuation. So I know our accountants, I was excited for this one when I saw it, are going to be happy with that so we can be a little more accurate. Job batching. So we now have the option of material job batching with the use of revision or attribute identifiers, right? So if we have advanced view measure and we're using attributes for our parts, then we can actually use those to try and job batch. Same thing with revision if we're tracking multiple revisions for our parts. So just a more flexibility with how we're going to batch our jobs. Global scheduling has seen some improvement. So essentially what they did was they took away the need for the system to have to go through all the historical data on past calendar exceptions, which would cause the global scheduling engine to kind of run a little bit longer sometimes when we didn't want to, particularly when your database starts getting a lot more historical data in it and stuff kind of had messed up priorly or it needed to run through that. So they removed that so the global scheduling process can run quicker for us. And then also, we can next lot use without a PCID now. So we can assign a lot number items when we're doing our report quantities without needing the PCID for that item. Yeah. Speaking of PCIDs, there's been some stuff that they have been enhancing with PCID for a while now. And so in 2025.2, we're going to be able to add PCIDs to direct site transfer shipments. So a direct site transfer shipment, if you guys aren't familiar, if you go to transfer order entry, you can go to the overflow and there's a little option there that says direct transfer. That's what this is talking about. And essentially what that is kind of like a quick transfer order entry shipment deal. Prior to this, we would not be able to have a PCID on that. You can now do PCIDs through that direct site transfer as well. We have more inventory transactions on PCIDs and the sales order pick status. So we're able to move PCIDs from one bin to another for inventory if it's already picked, right? Previously, we couldn't do that if it's already in a pick status. You'd have to actually unpick it, then move it, or just kind of deal with not being able to move it from bin to bin and just kind of knowing what you were doing. So that's been cleaned up for us. NCRs. So now we can have individual parts within a PCID, and we can basically put those individual parts through an NCR inspection procedure rather than having to actually remove them from the PCID to be able to do that. And then we're also able to now assign PCIDs in container receipt. So for those of you using landed cost entry and when we're receiving containers, we can now assign unique PCIDs to those pallets in the containers during receipt. So that covers kind of the core enhancements here. There's quite a bit of new stuff in tools. So Epicor Kinetic Application Studio. We've added customizable themes. So if you look over here on the left with that screenshot, basically what we're doing here is when you have and you don't have to have multiple sites to do this, but it is very useful if you have multiple sites with your company. You can basically use the color that was set for your context bar. If you turn on themes for the company, you'll get this. I mean, they choose like a vomit green over here for the example, but you can make it whatever color you want within that context bar, and it gives your users a really easy way to see visually that they're in the correct site. Um, I have a customer that is in a town called Cherryville, and so we have one of their sites red, right? So it's very obvious when you're kind of in there working with the different sites. One thing to kind of note here is previously Kinetic, if you were in an application, you wouldn't be able to switch sites, right? You had to go back to that home screen to switch sites. You can now do that without switching. So these color codes with the themes are really nice. It's really easy to use. You just go to the person icon, go to settings and turn that on. Highly recommend it. It's great for the visual stuff. Um, Personalization management. So our users can now manage personalizations individually with an application studio. And then we have some high density data entry layouts with the new style matrix for supporting custom rows and columns in the application as well. Um, there's a no code recoder. So basically, it's a test automation tool. So it empowers our QA and users to automate browser and API tests without coding. So kind of following in the theme of the past, 5 to 10 years, where everybody's pushing to that no code, low code kind of environment. And Epicor is really pushing to be on the front edge of that as well. So we're saving up to 80% of validation time with these reusable test plans, auto-generated scripts, and one-click regression testing. And obviously this makes it secure and stable, or scalable rather. Um, excuse me, with the test plans and the smart dashboards coming out. There is the new Power Tools client. So when we were talking earlier about, you know, the tools for like the database management and everything. The Power Tools client's kind of following in the same theme here. So this is going to be when Kinetic 2025.2 launches. It's going to be available as a free download on Epic Web. And so with the retirement of the smart application in May 2026, so just a few months away now, um, the data management tool and some of these other things that you see on the screen here were essentially achieved through those classic clients, right? Well, that's all going to be in the Power Tools client now. So your DMT, your Epicor functions, your advanced print routing, and the service designer for your SDKs are going to be in the Power Tools client. Important to note that the Power Tool client download is free, but you still need to have the valid licenses for each tool to access them rather. Okay, so just make sure you have your licenses for whatever it is that you're trying to use. Speaking of that smart client sunset, May 2026. Okay, if you're using the smart client, it's done. Classic screens, it's done. May 2026, no longer. Okay, so very important that you have a plan in place to have your end users trained and up to speed on the Kinetic screens and applications modules. If you guys need help with that, we're more than happy to help out. But you can see there's some smart client FAQs here. You can go into and see the impacted modules for this. And then you're also going to need to be able to transform any of our classic customizations, right? We need to make sure that uplift is there. We're getting a little late on running that. So best time was yesterday. Next best time is today, right? So just stay on top of this, guys. It's going to impact your business if you're not on top of the smart client sunsetting and you're still using it. So let's talk about what's new in the Epicor business applications. So this is the big one that Epicor has been talking about. If you've been to Insights, they have talked about this for, I think it's 2 years now, maybe three. Epicor Prison. And it's the agentic AI that Epicor is introducing um, into Kinetic. And so, just like any other AI, right, it's all tailored towards efficiency and trying to maximize our profitability, right? Um, it's interfacing right now with RFQs. We'll see this in just a moment to make smarter decision making across the company. Obviously, AI in today's world, if you're not getting on with it, you're kind of falling behind in competitive differentiation. So you want to make sure that you don't get left behind with the new tech wave going on. And then the other thing too is, AI isn't really supposed to replace people so much as augment um, and enhance the talent that you already have, right? So it really takes your high performers and brings them to the next level if they know what they're doing with AI. But it also can take maybe your mid to slightly above mid-level workers, and it can bring them to a high-level worker if they are also trained on how to use AI properly. So let's talk about what we're doing with RFQs with Epicor Prism. So basically, what happens is it's helping transform the RFQ workflows by automating the manual workflows that we would have with RFQ. So your team isn't having to go through emails and track down, okay, I sent out a request for quote, then I'm waiting for a response from the supplier, and then maybe we need to negotiate or something back and forth, or we have multiple quotes that multiple RFQs, I should say, that went out, and we need to do a decision making process. Um, the AI basically what it does is it will be able to read the emails going back and forth right through the platform, and it'll be able to assist us in making those decisions. All of this goes directly through Kinetic, and it helps us maintain it in a fraction of the time. When you look at the dashboard for it, the RFQ dashboard with Prism, sorry guys, excuse me, it got cold here and I have a cough. Um, it basically allows it'll give you concise overviews of the supply responses, and it'll automatically identify if there's any missing data or anything like that, and then help us make decisions with that embedded AI. Field service management. So there's been some portal updates to the field service management tool. Service scheduling info is now shared directly with the ERP. You can have multiple technicians on service reports now. There's progress tracking for multiple technicians. Scheduling panel has been added to the service report overview. And then we also have a new technician location records panel. On the mobile side of things, we have more expanded record keeping for the technicians, and there's a new agenda view so that keeping in line with our schedule and being able to keep that organized. The Kinetic, the communication between FSM and Kinetic integration. So basically, Kinetic CO track parts communicating back and forth through the field service management module. And then there's also custom data available in the service management platform as well now. So grow business intelligence. So this is like any other like Power BI. So we have advanced MES dashboards. So you can see this over here on the left side and what that kind of looks like for us. And basically what advanced MES does is it gives us real-time visibility into our equipment performance, downtime, and quality metrics that are going on out in the shop. So we're not having retroactive decision making. We can see everything going on in real time. And then Epicor Commerce. So we also have instant or real-time insights into activity and customer behavior. So our sales and marketing teams can optimize our engagement and conversions on those engagements. Epicor Automation Studio. So this is powered by Workato. So we can now sync Connect to Shopify inventory. There's a new Australia data center that complies with Australia health records requirements. So if we're in the healthcare industry, we are now legal with that as well. And then community recipes and connectors lists, all those resources are now in one place. So more integrations, smarter logging, better resources. All right, financials core. So new features in 2025.2. So we talked about this a little bit earlier with the carbon accounting with statistical accounts. So we're able to track our carbon emission in our company with those detailed GL reports, basically exactly the same way that you would see it as job costing or anything else, right? So it's going to do roll-ups in the same way, all that kind of stuff. So it'd be a very familiar process for you guys. If we're needing to track carbon emissions, it's going to work the same exact way as costing does in the system. We have new fields added to customer supplier, purchase order, container receipt, AP invoices into our Incoterms to support international trade. So for those of us that have global operations here. And then we also have some streamlined AP remittance sharing. So basically what's happening here is the electronic transmission of the remittance advice to third-party agents, which is going to streamline our payment confirmation. So just making sure everything's going smoother and quicker, less steps. Epicor FP&A. So they've done some improvements with our admin control to support kind of the back end team dependencies, right? So we can truncate source and fact data. We can gain new scenario, entity, book data when we need to. And then there's also an instance configuration migration wizard to get that data moving around. There have been some data synchronization improvements as well. This is basically just to help stabilize the system a little bit more, make it more reliable, and resolve some of the data inaccuracies from prior versions. So we have the sync compatibility with 12.1.1 on Kinetic, and then we can auto restart sync for any incomplete loads that we have. BAQ mapping. So we now have BAQ functionality available in the web UI. And then, the mapping of that BAQ data into structured classes for us to be able to pull the data in a more intelligent way. And then business rule troubleshoot and trace. So we're able to trace our calculation steps and troubleshoot the business rules that we're using with an FP&A with execution history and data previews. And then any outdated data is going to be automatically cleared when those filters change now. Epicor Cash Collect. So the surcharge percentage displayed on a transaction. So customers can now actually easily see that surcharge percentage along with the total amount of the transaction fee. The auto pay, so users can now modify or edit payment methods within the automatic payments pop-up screen. But that's only available when the automatic payments are toggled off. So when they have that, they'll be able to edit those payment methods on the automatic payment methods screen. And then the last thing, for any queued mails, we can basically resend. So if an email gets stuck in queue for more than an hour, we can have it resend automatically when that hour hits, so that we make sure that those emails we're trying to send actually get sent out. Epicor ECM. So this is document management, right? So the ECM Prism agent. So, again, guys, Prism is kind of going to be everywhere in Epicor if we decide that we want to use it. It'll now link documents from the ECM content library when it's pulling information while generating responses, right? So same way if you tell something like ChatGPT when you're trying to do some research or something along those lines, and you say, hey, provide me the sources of what you're getting your answers from to make sure it's not hallucinating or something like that. The Prism agent's now actually going to link the content that it's pulling the information from when it's answering. Grow BI can actually now visualize data from ECM, right? Which is going to allow us to create reports and visuals from data connected directly to the Grow data platform, right? So all of our documents there, being able to drive real dashboard usability for us, big feature enhancement here for us. And then also there have been some enhancements to our AP automation for freight. So basically now it's available for all carriers that send freight invoices. And you can see that UPS, FedEx, and DHL are listed here, but it's not limited to just those three carriers. Quick Ship. So Quick Ship's always expanding. They have now have 10 new LTL carriers in the US, two more in our neighbors up in Canada. And then there's Amazon parcel shipping as well for the US. So again, the great thing about Quick Ship is you have the better efficiency and savings with the customer negotiated LTL pricing in US and Canada. And then now we can also take advantage of Amazon's supply chain as well, or delivery chain, I guess I should say. Um, the REST API enhancements. So at the UD level field. So this is going to enable the communication between Kinetic and Quick Ship, and it basically enhanced our ability to sync the user-defined fields so that we can, more customize directly to your business needs when using Quick Ship rather than at a more kind of generic high level at certain times. And then again, you're going to see this a lot, guys. Another Epicor Prism integration. And what Prism is doing here is it's doing a smart retrieval of shipping status and freight profitability insights. And you'll be able to see all that within Kinetic, of course. Epicor Commerce. So they've optimized the homepage templates. So it basically improved those load times. Occasionally we could get bogged down a bit, try to load in these pages when we're using Epicor Commerce. And it's basically reducing the ERP dependency because we'll have some out-of-box templates that are tailored to different performance tiers. There's more certified language packs. So there's German and simplified Chinese now. So they have the new native language options for that. And then there's the Google Shopping feed integration as well. So basically, it takes the product data from Epicor Commerce Connect, syncs it directly with Google Merchant Center. And again, just giving us an easier way to see our product visibility and support our digital ad campaigns. EKW, powered by Biscuit. So Biscuit's a great team. They're always updating their product. We now have a configurator for the scan templates. So the configurator thing is brand new. It allows us to easily build these scan templates. The scan templates basically allow us to take the field data that we want to actually scan in and track, and we can take out other things. So you can see over here on the left, for instance, they have part number, from bin, from warehouse, and from lot toggled, but then they have the revision, quantity, codes, and some of these other things turned off for this particular scan template. So just allowing us to more control and less having to tab through things that we don't care to fill out or track. They've added phantom packs. So basically, we can bundle these products into fan packs for efficient customer shipments, and then leverage BPM. So there's BPM context information so that we can allow conditional triggering of BPMs and modifications within EKW. Previously, it's been a little more difficult to deal with BPMs and EKW. So they've been working on that functionality so that we can have more customized solutions for customers in an easier way. So EKW just getting more powerful every year. So if you guys have a large warehouse team that's having to stop at terminals and interrupt their workflow, EKW is the one-stop shop for your mobile needs for your supply chain with using Epicor. Proof of delivery, this is also going along with EKW here. So now there's a sign-on glass, so people can just get those signatures on there really quick, so that we can have our proof of delivery satisfied. And again, um, you can have BPMs here to enable our field staff to receive RMAs as well. So we're not having to do everything back in the main system. Source Day. So this is Epicor's, number one supplier portal here. What Source Day does is it allows you to kind of see everything with your suppliers. So PO lifecycle management, supplier engagement, reporting on all this stuff. So it's going to automate supplier PO changes to any kind of price states quantities so that we know that we're 100% accurate at the line release level on POs on all open POs. So anytime anything gets changed there, that's going to get pushed through to us on the Epicor side. It promotes 90% plus supplier engagement, um, whether that's through email portal or an API or EDI as well. There are AI powered tools with Source Day as well, just like everything else nowadays. Basically, getting rid of those low value manual tasks, anything repetitive, to in an effort to reduce errors and allow us to really focus on the things that are value add rather than just admin busy tasks that have to be done. And then it also provides real time analytics, configurable supplier records, and helps us optimize supplier performance. And here they have it listed as improving on-time delivery by 48%. So I know we all love to have our suppliers be on time all the time, and Source Day helps us get there. Bartender. A lot of us use Bartender. So they actually increase the printing efficiency, which I'm sure everybody's going to be thrilled about because that's one of the things that gets brought up to me quite often is uh, printing sometimes being a challenge. So they actually optimize the print engine to increase that speed by 12%. That's always lovely. And then they actually have a print portal, like single location now, right? So it simplifies our remote label printing and minimizes that IT workload, right? We have the portal there to set up the printers. Um, it supports or it has support for .NET 8 and Windows Server 2025. The Bartender Common Template Library is gonna, simplifies us being in compliance with any kind of regulatory requirements. And then there's also expanded in-app messaging now, so that we know when we're approaching printer usage limit, and any of our renewal periods. So mainly streamlining our services and future proofing for the service. Epicor Data Analytics. So there's new flex modes for enhanced data exploration here. So we now have tailored grids, dimensions, measures for adaptable data exploration. They unified the view so that we can switch seamlessly between the grids, charts, and transaction details. And then some new smart tools with nested dimensions, spark lines, and filters to reveal trends and insights. So again, just streamlining the user experience here with Epicor Data Analytics. Moving over to the EDA financials, Epicor Data Analytics, by the way, guys, financials. There's been some enhancements here. So you can see down here at the bottom how they've combined the streams so we can manage those streams and scenarios more easily. The new homepage has quick access to the financial content now as well. And then they've also done some enhancements with budgeting and forecasting. So there's a hierarchy with the budget so that we have a more flexible budget setup. And then there is budget actual mode, which shows us where we're at currently in our budget so that we can track the remaining budget more efficiently, rather than kind of, not being 100% sure where we are in the budget, just kind of having the top level picture for the whole year. ADP Workforce Now. I'm sure most people here are familiar with ADP. So This is available with 25.1 and later versions. So we talked about this on the What's New in Connect 2025.1 release about a quarter ago or whenever I did that last webinar. So on the HR side, it's trying to reduce time spent on administrative functions, focus on developing our people. So, having those target plans and everything for our workforce. We can set goals for learning, requirements for learning, and it also has performance management, of course. ADP is probably most well known for its payroll and benefits. I know I used ADP quite a bit when I was on the ground floor in manufacturing. So all those things that you would see there with kind of like an HR payroll system. And it's all now being able to be directly synced with Epicor. Solos tax compliance. So we talked about this on 2025.1 as well, but this is a tax compliance tool, as it says in the name. Um, we can quickly see which locations are active and inactive for more accurate tax filings. There's exemption processing without images now, so you can add up the exemptions rather, in Cert Manager without the certificates. So you reduce the delays there. And then they've also kind of enhanced again the performance, right? So faster page loads, more email domain flexibility, and now we have some new entity use codes for specialized tax needs. So let's talk about the big one, which is a cloud update um, moving forward. So we have important upgrade dates coming through. You can see here kind of on the bottom where the pilot additional education upgrade, October 9th through 11th, testing window, October 12th through November 13th, and the production upgrade, November 14th through 16th. Like I mentioned earlier, guys, the production environment's actually getting pushed up into not pushed up is this weekend, right? So just keep that in mind. Um, some of these things on here might be a little bit out of date now, but this is just something to keep in mind anytime that we're on an upgrade timeline, right? So data refreshes and opt-ins. So on this first bit, there's a lot kind of here. It's a little bit busy on the information, but in situations like these, if you do want your production database to be copied over to the pilot environment, you just make sure that you request a data refresh by Wednesday of like that week, right? That it's leading up to be able to do that. Now, moving forward, we'll be able to do data refreshes um, ourselves, but on the upgrade stuff, we just need to make sure that we're constantly on top of this. You can see what time that the data centers are taken offline. So 7 p.m. to basically midnight going into Sunday. And this is why I was saying this weekend, guys, we're not going to be able to log in during those upgrade processes. But once it is all done, you'll get an all clear message from epicor.com in your inboxes so you know you'll be able to go. You can see here, same thing with the production upgrade timeline. So Friday, 10 p.m. local time. So today's Thursday, I think. So tomorrow, Friday, 10 p.m. No login during the upgrade process. You'll have anything that your configurations for pilot will be installed, and then you'll get the all clear message when everything is done again post upgrade. Sorry, excuse me 1 second. So again, you submit your data refreshes in Epicor itself. So in order to be able to test your latest data in your production database, you need to request that database refresh, like we were talking about a moment ago, by Wednesday of that week. Cloud Ops is always going to provide the timetable to refresh the database, and then your last opportunity to refresh your database between pilot and production upgrades is at that date, right? We're past that date now, but it's something to keep note with going forward. in the future. If you do choose to defer your upgrade with the flex option, you're not going to receive any of the 2025.2, ongoing updates after 2025.2's release. After 2025.1.11, you're still going to have your usual 4 weeks to test. But if you do choose to defer, remember that this would already had to been taken care of, but then your flex option dates were this right here. So January 19th through 20th for pilot, production February 20th through 21st, or you could have gone with the second option here for February 16th through 17th and through March 20th to 21st. So if you are one of those clients who flexed out for the 2025.2 upgrade, you can ignore what I was saying about Friday. But otherwise, everybody else, that is going to apply to you. If you didn't do this deferral by the deadline up here, then you're going to be on the cadence of everybody else, and you're going to get upgraded this weekend. Fun times. All right. So best practices when you are testing in pilot, you want to test end to end, obviously monitor for any failed configurations. You want to make sure that you print all customer facing documents and make sure that all your reports and everything are working and haven't broken. You want to test your critical Monday morning processes, and then you have, your pilot additional education environments will be updated once during the testing period. For your SSRS reports, we talked about this on the last slide. So you're going to want to open both production and pilot applications from the same computer. You want to print the report in production, download the production report, upload that report into pilot, and then you want to compare the two documents. If you need to make any modifications to that, you would then make them in pilot and take note so that you can move that post upgrade. The configuration upgrade dashboard. So this is what you use to see a summary of your organization's configurations. So it's going to show BAQ statuses, any updatable BAQs, BPM statuses, which also has subsheets for your methods directives. Basically, it breaks out your method directives versus your data directives, and then your outdated directives. It'll have your dashboard statuses, report styles, all that stuff. You guys can read all that. You can see the picture over here. If you're also looking for assistance and upgrades, we have Encompass. We use the analyzer tool. So we can just get with Dave Cranshaw on that, and he'll be happy to run an analyzer tool on your environment, and then we can assist you on a plan for upgrading. Again, here's a testing checklist before the pilot upgrade. You guys can see here what you need to do. You always want to keep up with the what's new. So these future summary documents are released on Epic Web, and they have the release notes as well, so you can see everything. I didn't cover everything in the release notes exhaustively today. So if there's some stuff that you're wondering about, you can always go in there and reference it yourself. Or if you request that we send it to you, I'm sure we can send it to you as well. There is a sample test plan in there, so you want to customize that to your personal business. Make sure that it follows your workflows, and then again, resolve any issues with your configurations and test all of our critical business flows. So these are the upgrade resources that you can use. So there's the Epic web page dedicated to 2025.2 release for cloud. That's where you're going to find all your important updates. It won't be the link to this specific webinar. It would be the link to Epicor's webinar. There's the what's new summaries that I just talked about before, where it basically tells you kind of the overall what the flow of the releases are for 2025.2 or any release. The release notes is going to show you all of the specific things, so the details of the changes by functional areas. And it's also going to have bug fixes and stuff noted in there as well. The sample test plan is listed in there under the 2025.2 page. And then we have some feature spotlights. So Tim Shoemaker, I believe it was, did a feature spotlight on the delivery plans, for instance. So for some of these things that get listed in the features, they take the ones that they think are the most impactful and they do a spotlight on it. So if you're wanting to see a more in-depth explanation, you can always go to the feature spotlights, or you can reach out to us and we can cover it with you. So I know we went through a lot, but we got through it all. So I appreciate everybody's patience here. I will turn it back over to Ashley if we have any questions.